Yeah, while we wait, get a few more people on the live. Randall's on already. He's super excited about giving you guys information and training today about house flipping. He is definitely a stand-up guy, and I'm excited that he was able to join us today. So tell your friends, we live with a major topic today. And word of the day, I got my wine today. The word of the day is funding. When you hear the word funding, make sure that you put it in the chat, let everybody know, and make sure you take your sip. Sometimes for the newcomers, I take sips, I take sips off the word, you can do that too. But on the word funding today, make sure you take your sips. I hope you got your questions ready. If it's anybody that was ever interested in getting into real estate, today is the topic for them. So make sure that you are reaching out to them right now, telling them to come on. The replay will be available, but it's nothing like being able to ask these questions firsthand and getting the information from the subject matter expert himself, who is here today, ready to answer your questions and to give you some good information. I have the girls, they said, hey girls, hey. But the word today is funding. I said it. I hope you sipping. I'm drinking, I don't know why I keep drinking this 19 Crimes Snoop Dogg wine, rosé. But hey, that's what I'm sipping again today. I'm normally on Stella, but I don't think I had a bottle of Stella. But a couple more minutes, we're gonna get Randall on and get him set up for the wind down. Reach out to you people. Let them know we live. And we got a major topic for them today. So I'm really excited about today. How you doing, Cozy Planner Jenny? I'm not familiar with that tag name, but welcome to the wind down. Happy to have you here today. Hey, Angel, cause it's good. But yeah, that's, it is a little tasty. I like my rosé, my 19 Crime Snoop Dogg wine. Yeah, welcome. If you guys created a New Year's resolution this year, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. If you guys have a New Year's resolution, put it in the chat. Is that my girl Christy? Hey, Christy, it's good to see you today. I had a New Year. I don't know if I have a New Year's resolution, but I definitely woke up this year feeling, a greater responsibility, a greater purpose. I think last year, without there being a New Year's resolution, I kind of focused on relationships and making sure that I had, I honed in on the relationships that was important to me, and that I reassured, those relationships, and the fluff, people that was just kind of fluff, I kind of tried to start my disconnecting from them. And it was a transition, and it was a heavy transition, but I'm grateful for that transition. So travel out of the country this year. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Get out. Hey, 2023, this Jordan year. So Jordan the greatest. So make this your best year. New Year's resolution is not to be too trusty right off the bat. Yes. Hey, Cam. Hey, my girl. Yeah, don't be too trusty. Yeah, definitely paying attention to people, because people will take your energy, man. They will drain you. Like me and I said, people will take if you let them. So yeah, 23, I'm not allowing that to happen. We got some big stuff happening for the WineDown crew, and I'm really excited to share it. It's a little premature right now. We still got some things that we're working out, but you will be excited about it. Trust and believe. You will be excited about it when you get that information. Welcome to the WineDown. For everybody who is logging in now, excited. Any other New Year's resolutions? Getting out of the country, traveling more, not being too trusting. Yeah, I definitely plan on getting some traveling in this year too. So I woke up this year with a new purpose. Again, this is Jordan year. Hold on real quick. My dog is about to kill herself, I think. All right, she all right. But anyway, what about y'all? Any good resolutions? Well, without further ado, I want to introduce to some of you guys Mr. Randall Monfiston. I met Monfiston, and you see me moving. It's because I am literally trying to do the tech part and invite him. Hey Randall, welcome. But as we grew up, Randall matured. He went into the officer world, which was a great move for him. And then he went ahead, and I started to see him doing house flipping. And it was around the same time I started getting into real estate. So I was really, really excited about the things that he was doing and his willingness to share information as he was going through that process. I was just seeing him giving back. So I feel honored, Randall, to really have you here today to share with the WineDown crew. I'm going to tell you, this is a group of girls that are really excited about personal growth and development. And I know that you're
I
going to have some
appreciate
great
it.
information
Appreciate
to
it. I
share
didn't
with
know I
them
was supposed
today.
to
So
have
welcome to the
wine, but I put
WineDown
a little
crew.
something in my tea, and I heard funding is the trigger word to tip your cup up. So let's go. Let's go.
Tip the
Let's
cup
get
on
it.
funding. You
Again,
said it.
thank you for the opportunity to be on this platform to be able to share my experience. Hopefully, help others as they either start their journey or they continue their journey. So a little bit about myself. I started real estate, or I had the interest in real estate for over 10 years now. So in 2012, I started the process by going to some training to kind of get myself familiar. Something I learned with the Navy is first you got to train like you fight. So I went to go train so then I could be ready to fight. Unfortunately, in my particular situation, the training program I chose was more of a pyramid scheme, by say actual, you walk away with some knowledge. So that was $10,000 down the drain. Uh, in hindsight, that $10,000 could have went towards a down payment on the property. So that's just something not deterring people from getting training. I know Instagram and other social media platforms are pushing training and all types of opportunities to be able to get information by paying some type of monetary fee. Just be mindful of what kind of program you're getting into and try to do any type of due diligence you can when it comes to research and reviews. But there are training programs out there that I've taken outside of the one that I spent doing a pyramid scheme that are beneficial to you getting knowledge, as well as being here right now to be able to get information from you for free. Right. So we fast forward. It took me about 5, 6 years to kind of get over that bitter taste in my mouth over the experience of losing $10,000, as well as get my bankroll back up. But fortunately, I was able to partner with a couple of like-minded individuals, and that kind of got the wheels turning and got me motivated to be back into trying to get into the real estate game. Also, since then, I've done 14 renovations and I have 6 rental properties. Two of those I've sold, so now 4 rental properties. So first, before I go through this, I don't know the different levels of experience of those of you who are in the chat room or in the live right now. So if anybody is a novice or anybody is brand new or experienced, just kind of chime in and say what your level is. If you are brand new to it, what kind of information you're looking for, if you've been doing it for a while, so I can kind of gauge what I'm saying, and I don't want to waste people's time by going too deep in the weeds. If we have people who are kind of experienced when it comes to real estate flipping or anything when it comes to investing, so please just chime in. Homeowner, but really brand new. Okay, well, the same thing that you do with your homeowning, right? You have to go and have somebody come check your HVAC. The same person that checks your HVAC, I would get their number. So a lot of times, what I do, right? So I bought a new home through Lennar or Ryan Homes and whoever is your home builder. They're going to send somebody over, right? That's a W-2 employee that's working for probably minimum wage, right? And they add on their overhead fees to what you pay for them to come look at it, or should I say the warranty company, right? I ask those people as they come in, hey, you do any side work, right? And 9 times out of 10, those people do side work. So homeowning is absolutely the first part of the same things that you do in your own home is what you're going to do in some of these renovations. You're just going to take away the personal touch, right? You're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for what the market calls for. So numbers drive the deal. So if you want to have extravagant light fixtures in your home, that's not what you're going to necessarily do for the home that you're actually trying to invest into. It's all about the price point for the neighborhood. So if you have moderate type of fixtures, Formica, if that's even a thing still in certain areas, then that's what you go for. But if your home, you want to have it plush, right? So homeowner is also something good. There's nothing wrong with having that. I currently have 6 doors, looking to learn more from a professional. Okay, all right, all right. Oh, that's Raul. Okay, Raul. All right, FA, what's going on, man? What else? All right. So let's dive in. So the key thing that I was brought on for was funding, right? When I first started out, it was basically crowdfunding. It was me partying with three other individuals, and we got together and we found a property, found an air property that was very low. The numbers escape me now, but I think it was like in the low 20s or $25,000. We probably put maybe 60, 70,000 into it, and we all walked away. I don't remember what we sold it for, but I know that we all walked away around like $5,000, $6,000 each. To most, they'd be like, "Well, that's all you're gonna get, right?" So what I like to say is that you got to start somewhere, right? You can't just jump into anything and just think that you can become a millionaire. You got to start with something. And the biggest thing that I had to frame my mind, because even I had to humble myself when I seen that check after everything else was paid, the hard money lenders, the credit cards back, even taking in what we put in our principal. You got to take consideration is if you're beating what you're going to put in the bank. So most banks are going to give you 2-3% your CDs, your mutual funds, 6-7%. Even if you try to do like the S&P 500, at best you get 9-10%. So if you're making above 10%, then you're beating whatever you're going to do in any type of financial portfolio. So try to frame your mind like that. Don't get too hung up on how much the dollar amount is. Think about the percent of what you're getting back, the return on investment. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind as you're proceeding forward with these deals. Uh, so when it comes to these deals, right, what do you want? You want to find the project, right? The money is there. It's just a matter of you using your resources. So now I know that people are looking at, well, how do I get the money, right? So you have hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are probably going to charge you 14 to 15%. And depending on your area, it may be that you have certain hard money lenders that will limit what kind of properties you can invest into. So what I like to always do, and this I wrote down some that I've worked with. Again, the interest rates are going to be slightly high, but I'm speaking from a national level. I have some here in the DMV area that I work with, but I'm not sure where everybody's from. So I try to cast a broad net, cast a broad net, and to be able to give you with the national level. So Seeking Capital is one I've used before to be able to be able to provide capital for my deals. BHG is another one, and then Lima One. So Lima One, what I like a lot about Lima One allows you to be able to do flips and they do rental properties. A lot of the deals like the Seeking Capital BHG, they normally give you up to 12 months to be able to do the renovations, and then you hit a balloon payment. So the goal is to be able to get done with the deal prior to that balloon payment. But Lima One is a good one that I like, but of course, each one of them has their pros and cons. The ones that's long term is good on interest, but then at the same time, it's something that you have to be considerate of when you're doing your numbers. So Richmond Mortgage, for those who are in the DC area, is somebody that I like. So that's why I just wanted to throw that in. It's not a nationally ranked one, but it's something that I use in the DC area, Virginia, Maryland area. So that's one for those who are in the DMV area. Um, so those are the funding platforms. Again, we're gonna go with the T since you said funding is a word, right? I don't know if we're gonna be smart or tipsy after this, but hey, we're gonna get through this. But when it comes to when it comes to funding, right? When it comes to these numbers, I'm not gonna do another one. I'm just trying to get my thoughts out. But when it comes to these numbers, right, you want to make sure that you find out what the property that you're looking at, how those numbers fit into it. And the biggest hang up that we had when we first started doing this is the interest rates. The way the interest rates are calculated can be tricky, right? Some hard money lenders or some venture capitalists or whatever type of vehicle you're using to fund your projects, some go by daily rate, some by go a monthly rate, and some go by a quarterly rate. In which that quarterly rate one was that interest rate. I didn't even list that one. That quarterly rate, the interest rate was 18, 19%. So that's just giving you like a insight that there are those who charge by quarter, but then 18, 19%. So that's something that you want to be mindful of. So make sure you read the fine print, make sure you're understanding what you're getting yourself into. They always should provide you a closing document so you can compare what you're going to be paying out of pocket in comparison to what your preliminary numbers were when you were doing the investment. So the next thing, well, first let me stop here. Does anybody have any questions into funding? Because I want to get into how do you assess a deal when looking at a home and you're trying to do the comps and figure out the numbers and how do you figure out if the deal is a solid deal or not for you to go forward with. So does anybody have any questions about funding? Please chime in and let me know.
I got a question. Maybe if you guys have questions, please type them in the chat. As always, I'll try to make sure we don't miss any questions. But I know a lot of people are probably asking, what is the difference? What is a hard money lender, and what does it mean? Why can't I just go to a bank and get a loan for my flip? Like, why can't I go through
All right, so with Bank of
Bank of
America and Navy
America or
Federal,
Navy Federal for
when
that?
you can, but that's when you really really doing well, right? So first starting out, those banks are not going to work with you. And secondly, those banks are going to require you to have some type of skin in the game when it comes to line of credit being on your credit report. If you want to be able to do this business, you want to try to leverage your business credit versus your personal credit, right? To separate the two. But the biggest thing with a hard money lender, they're not backed by the FDIC. They don't follow the same regulations as the big banks do. There's federal regulations that they have to follow. Hard money lender is just a person who meets certain state laws, right? That says, hey, I have this $1 million. Let's say I won the lottery, the Powerball, I think it is a mega million, $1 billion. And I want to go and be able to invest or provide money to other people to be able to invest. And I charge them a certain percent. I have certain regulations I have to follow law-wise, but I don't have to follow the same extent or same level of scrutiny that the big banks would. So that's the biggest difference, right? And then on top of that, the interest rates, they're able to increase the interest rates based off of what they deem necessary, and they're less constrained by how the banks have to regulate their interest rates. So that's the two biggest things that's different between your traditional Wells Fargo, Bank of America, PNC banks, and your hard money lenders. Any other questions? Let me look in the chat, see if there's okay. All right. So there's no questions about the funding piece. We're gonna roll into assessing a deal, right? So I utilize either you can utilize your real estate agent, but you don't always want to rely solely on your real estate agent to be looking for your deals, right? Especially if you're new to the game. Until you start putting money in your pocket, then they're going to carve some time out of your day to then try to find deals for you. But initially, you want to try to get maybe 3 or 4, because one, not only are you learning what you're looking for in this process, but then you're also learning who you want to have on your team, right? So having at least 2 to 3 people that are doing each of these jobs. So a real estate agent, having somebody who's, when it comes to contractors, and I'll talk about contractors in a second, how you find contractors, right? You want to make sure you have more than one person for redundancy purposes, right? Especially if you're trying to get into a home to look at and you know that the market, just like it was here and like this past year, is hot. And if you didn't get the deal, if you didn't get to look at the property and put in let's call it losing my word. It's 8:45 over here, guys. So some of my words is kind of escaping me right now. Put in a offer. There we go. Yeah, thanks. An offer in for a deal, right? It'll be gone within 24,
Offer.
48 hours. So again, when you first start out, you want to have a redundancy in each person that's on your team, especially real estate agent. So when you first looking for property, I use Zillow, right? I go for areas that I know, and in that area, I just start skimming. I just start looking for deals that come up. Drive-bys. There's nothing wrong with driving by. Like, you always want to be in investor mode, right? As you're driving by, just going to the grocery store, you see a home that looks dilapidated. The telltale sign is that the grass is growing and it looks like it's not being kept up, right? That could be a sign of something that's going wrong with that house, and I will go investigate it. I will go on Zillow and see if that house is been on the market, or if it's on foreclosure, whatever the case may be. A lot of times, again, going back to real estate agent side of the house, they'll send you a list of things, right? You'll set your criteria saying 3 bedroom, 2 bath, X amount of square feet, and it becomes kind of spam email. Like, you'll keep on getting emails every day. I recommend you go through that when you first start out to get kind of comfortable. And in the process, you might be frustrated, but in the process of trying to look at all these deals, I would say try to do 15, 20 until you get into a rhythm each day to try to narrow down a list. And then you provide that feedback to real estate agent. Hey, cut this deal out. Cut these deals that are X amount of years, so on and so forth. So what I'm looking at when I go into I've received this MLS report from the real estate agent, right? I'm looking for the type of neighborhood it's in. I'm looking for normally 3 bedroom at minimum, because when you're trying to resell a home, 3 bedrooms at minimum is what you need, and you want 2 baths, right? And depending on the area where you at, the square foot, you could go 1,400 to 2,000 square feet. Something to take into consideration when you're dealing with hard money lenders, they are biased when it comes to homes that are by funeral homes, by cemeteries, and their street addresses. It's street addresses, not when I mean a street number address, like 22nd Street, 21st Street, right? Unless you're in New York or something like that. But in this area, those type of streets can be, in the hard money lenders' eyes, associated with a urban area, right? So they're less interested in investing in those type of areas. So that's something to keep in mind, right? They'll do their due diligence to see if this, like for example, DC has a whole bunch of number streets, and there are pockets where things are good. So it would be to their benefit to actually take on deals that do have that. But just giving you kind of insight to how money lenders think, right? They sometimes filter out some of those streets. Something that's on Martin Luther King Boulevard, something like that. Unfortunately, those things have been situations where I've heard from hard money lenders that they rule those out because of the stigma that comes with the type of area that the property may be in, and that there might not be enough equity in the community for that resale to be what we are assessing it to be. So those are things you got to take consideration. The How old the home is, depending on a hard money lender, they may not go 60, 70 years back, right? Because that's more issues that occur that may come up with the home that you're not assessing in your numbers. So I would say stay within, especially when you're first starting out, don't try to go past 1970. 1970 and on, I would recommend, that would probably be a good pocket for you to stay in before you get comfortable, or before you try to take on something that's older. I'm not saying it's impossible to do older homes. I'm just saying with older homes, there's more issues, right? You got asbestos, you have you got copper plumbing, you have all those things you got to take consideration. You have fuse panels instead of circuit panels, like all that. So electrical wires got to get upgraded, and not all eats up into your renovations. Then potentially, if you didn't do your renovation costs correctly, eat into your profit. So those are things to take consideration. So when I'm, again, back to sitting in front of Zillow, I'm in front of Zillow. Let's say I found a property that piques my interest, that meets those parameters: 3 bed, 2 bath, after 1970, 1,400 plus square feet to 2,000 square feet, right? I'm looking at Zillow and I'm seeing that, okay, I do curbside street view, see what the neighborhood looks like, it's a decent neighborhood. And then from there, I'm running comps. So what comps are is you want to do comparative homes who have the same uh, parameters, same kinematics, or whatever you want to call it, characteristics as the home you're looking for. So if it's a 2 floor home that you're looking at, you want to find other 2 floor homes. If it's 3 bed, you want to find other 3 beds. 2 bed, all of that, square footage, all of that. The year built, you could fluctuate a little bit, like 5 to 10 years on the 1970 part. But when you get more recent, like your 2015, 2016, you can't use a 2016 to 2006 home. So anything in the past 20, not 20 years, but probably 10, 15 years, you want to stay within a 2 to 3 year variable of what the home was built. Anything in your 70s and 80s, you can get away with like 7 to 10 years in difference to still qualify as a comp, right? And the reason for this is because you're trying to think like how appraiser would when you go to sell the home, and that's what appraisers take consideration: the year built of what you're selling in comparison to the year built of other homes that have sold in the past 6 months. And I've been talking for a little bit, so I don't want to make sure I'm not talking too much. So if anybody has any questions, or if they want me to repeat something, please drop it in the chat, because I am trying to peruse through the chat to make sure I'm not missing anybody's questions. What's the best way to find cheaper properties? Well, that's kind of a loaded question, right? The best way to find cheaper properties. Wholesaling is an option, right? You could find wholesalers who've done the grunt work for you and find a property that's been aired, or a property that's about to be in foreclosure, but they're getting right before the bank takes it over, and the person is trying to sell it. But those come with their issues as well, right? A lot of times, and there's been a couple times that a wholesaler thought he had it under contract for one amount, or he did have it under contract for one amount, but when it came to closing time, the seller owed more, so they didn't do their due diligence on how much the seller owed on the contract, or owed on the home. and those numbers to match. So let's say the seller got it under contract for 125,000, but they owe 150,000, right? The bank is not going to let that go. You either going to come up with that extra 25,000, or you got to walk away from the deal. And in those cases, that extra 25,000 changes up the numbers, especially if you're anticipating to make $25,000-$30,000 in profit after you do all your fees. So that's something to take consideration. One of the ways to do cheap deals, like that's it's just your research, your due diligence. There's no cookie cutter perfect answer, because if it was the easiest way to find a cheap deal, then everybody would be doing it. Like, it's just you grinding, creating networking relationships with people who out there, your contractors, when they could be on the lookout and tell you, hey, I just started doing renovations on this home, and the investor ran out of money, right? And he's trying to sell this property, right? And then if he has a hard money lender that he's paying on a monthly basis, and he's crunched for time as far as trying to get this from off his plate, he might want to sell it for at the minimum that he needs to be able to get up under. So your contractors could be a way to get information. Your real estate agent, wholesalers, networking. It's just about what I think real estate. When I think of real estate, I think about the know. And the know to me means that either you able to see a property and know something can become of that property, whether it's a boarding house, a rental property, a Airbnb, or a flip that somebody else doesn't know, right? Or the know in the sense of that you know of a property that's being sold before somebody else is. So those are the two things that you got to take consideration to be able to be successful in the business. It looked like you had a question. Go ahead. Yeah.
Can I add something? So, couple things from a realtor standpoint, and also, Portia, you asked the question about finding the best deals. And from my experience, is definitely trying to talk to the homeowner before they have a realtor and before they go onto the foreclosure list or anything like that. So searching Zillow, when you're looking for those properties, you want to find properties that that are broken down so that you will have enough money to do the flip and then make money off of it. If you go to a realtor, for me, and my client, have a broken down house, they come to me, I'm still going to try to sell their house at market value. I'm going to try to get the most. And if I know that this house is worth something, you're not going to be able to really negotiate with them to get it down a whole lot that may give you that room to be able to do the flip. So one thing is like knowing people who, maybe coming up on hard times. I hate to say it, somebody passed away. They got, what are they going to do with their house? Somebody who, maybe getting ready to claim bankruptcy because you heard it in the streets, just what are they going to do? Because if you find a deal that has the ratio, meaning you're able to, they call it 80% minus the cost of repairs that your offer, or some lenders want 70%, and that's a whole nother thing. I'm sure you whatever. Not gonna go too deep into it. But if you find the ratios, the money is going to be there, but you got to find that. But from a lender's perspective, and somebody who, from a flipper's perspective, also, as a realtor, your job is to find those deals. And like he said, until you start, helping me make money, I'm not going to be out on the lookout for you, because I got a crap ton of clients that I'm trying to help find homes, and me going out of my way to find dilapidated homes so that you can get a deal is going to be a hard sell for me, because now I got to figure out who am I under contract with, because I have an obligation. But it's a lot of work to find those homes. It's really another job. So to ask a realtor to help you find homes to flip, you are likely going to find a whole lot of just MLS, like he said, a lot of spam emails, a lot of emails for stuff that hit the market that may not meet your criteria. But if you be patient enough, you may find something, because it's just going to come out. But to just expect somebody to be, and I'm just saying, maybe there are people that do it, but to expect somebody to just be on the lookout and to go and carve time out of their day to go and find you a house to flip, and you haven't put money in their pocket to make that time worthwhile, it's more likely that it's going to be harder for you to get a realtor. So that's something that you're going to likely be doing on your own, or paying a wholesaler for starting out.
Good stuff.
That's
Good
just
stuff.
my experience with it.
100%.
And one more thing, I'm sorry. Angel asked the question about a cash offer. So going through a hard money lender or certain private lenders and getting certain different types of funding, that is going to put you in a position to go to the offer
Is
table
that the
as a
term?
cash offer
Is that
because you
how
can
she was
close it
meaning it?
a
Was she
lot
meaning cash
quicker.
offer? Because
So
not too many
I don't know if
people
you've seen
associate
that one.
hard money lenders as cash offers. So if she was meaning in that sense, then you are correct. But if you meaning that you have $200,000 cash to be able to do acquisition and renovation, then absolutely, absolutely, you'll be able to. If you remove a third party and you're able to come to the table with the money, then you absolutely able to get in there quicker, right? Just think about it. If I'm looking to sell my home, and I'm about to face foreclosure, and I have two people that put in an offer, one saying that they need to wait 30 days to be able to get the lender to fund this deal, and I have somebody that could close in a week or 2 weeks. Who do you think I'm gonna go with, right? So, and that's what I see, right? Like 2022, I'm not gonna lie, was a hard year for me with all these sight unseen offers and people coming with actual real cash, not hard money letter cash, because that does qualify on your on your offer to check that box as a cash offer. But people were legitimately cash, like they have it liquidated to be able to purchase. So, yeah, that does influence the deal. There are some hard money lenders who you can utilize that do close in 7 days. Lima One was one of them, right? But that's after you build some rapport and you do some of the groundwork with them, right? But the first deal is not gonna be that quick. But you can get there and still not have to come out your own pocket. So something that Nation picked up on. I'm calling you by your last name, right? We just talked about that earlier. But something that you picked up on was that so when you're using a lender, you gotta take consideration not only you got to take consideration the loan value, right? So let's say that you want to borrow $100,000 from a lender. The lender is going to want you to have some skin in the game. So a lot of times, depending on if it's like a commercial property or a rental property, for your rental property, rental properties for your flips is going to be 20%. So they're going to give you 80% of what you're asking for, and the other $20,000 in this $100,000 deal I'm talking about, you have to come up with, right? And then on top of that, you got to take consideration that that's to include what you're acquiring for and what you're renovating as well, right? So that you have to take it. You might want to go get that $150,000 house, right? But if the house is not going to have an after repair value of a certain amount, then that takes away what you can borrow. So that's something to take consideration when you're putting these offers. So actually, that brings up a point. So let's talk about how you come up with your offer, right? So your offer is going to be the after repair value, right? So we got through the comps. The comps is saying I'm finding three other properties or three properties that are similar to my home. And you're gonna say one house sold for $100,000 the past 6 months, another one sold for 110, and another one sold for 120. You take the three after repair values of the sale price of those three homes, and you divide that by three, and in this case, that'd be $110,000. So the home that you're looking at potentially could sell for $110,000. So after you have what you assess your home to be the after repair value, you have to start deducting things. So the first thing you want to deduct is what your renovation cost is going to be. Some people use a rule of thumb per square foot. So like for here in the DC area, you're looking about $55 to $60 per square foot. That's something that you're gonna have to learn over time after you're dealing with different contractors and you're trying to figure out like a quick number. If you have multiple deals coming your way, you want to be able to have a quick number to say, okay, for this 1,500 square foot home, I know I'm able to do renovations like a full renovation for about $65 a square foot, or if it's cosmetic, I could do it for $45 a square foot. Um, it's going to be longer in the beginning because you're gonna have to do itemized lists, especially if you're not trying to trip yourself up and paint yourself into a corner where you're saying that it's going to only cost you maybe 30,000, but it ends up costing you 40, 50,000 because you didn't properly itemize the roof into it or how much the HVAC is going to cost and things like that. So I would recommend the first couple, when you not even the first couple deals, but the first couple times you're doing offers, try to get itemized lists for every single thing that you want to do in that home. And you can go on Google and you can print out different check sheets for when you're walking through a home, what to look for like any damaged windows, how many windows you have to fix, if the toilets need to be replaced, if the plumbing. So this way you don't miss anything, right? Even to this day, I walk with a checklist, right? And there's even gurus who are doing this way better than I am, who still walk through. Yeah, I want to say on my third, and then this is a lesson learned. I want to say it was my fourth or fifth property. I got a little beside myself thinking that I could walk through this home just on the fly without even thinking about it. I missed a whole window. I mean about a whole window. Like I cast my vision to the contractor and say, this is what we want to do. We want to add an addition. And in that addition, one of the rooms does not have a window. That's what was the result of not using that check sheet, right? And it hurt us in the long run. We had to sell it for $10,000 less. We still made a profit, but that's $10,000, right? That we lost on what we wanted to sell the home for. So that's something to take consideration. So this is just me trying to drive home the point of why you want to have check sheets, right? Don't think that it's some tedious thing. It's very important to save you money in the long run. But again, have an itemized list of everything that you want to get done to the home, and then try to figure out your numbers. Shop around contractors and see what numbers that they would give you based on each of those things. Sometimes a contractor will give you a high number if they're thinking that you're a novice or you're new to the game, right? That's fine. You get another contractor and you get another contractor, and you kind of smooth out these numbers as you build your team. There's no a perfect team day one, right? Some of the times, a lot of times, you're gonna have to trade. Even today, right? I had to trade people out. Electrician that was working well 3 rehabs in a row starts getting lackadaisical, right? So then you got to swap them out. So it's always a ongoing process with nurturing team, maintaining the right team, and keeping your numbers as low as possible. But I kind of got distracted. So back to what I was saying, you want to know what your renovation cost is going to be. So let's say for this particular deal of $110,000, it's $40,000, or let's say $35,000 that you got to take off for renovations. So 110 minus 35. You take that off the top, right? Let's say that the acquisition of not the acquisition, but the holding costs, right? You want to do 10% of whatever the after repair value of the home is going to be. That's a kind of a rule of thumb. So in this case, that's $11,000. You want to knock $11,000 off as well. And what are you doing this for? You're doing this to make money, right? You're not doing it for free. So how much money you want to make, right? HGTV, everybody makes it seem like you're gonna make $60,000, $70,000 on each deal. That is not real. Every once in a while you may get that, but more times than not, you're around that $20,000 to $30,000 range, right? If you're really good with fine tuning your numbers and having a strong team that gets in and out, and you're not in that loan with the hard money lender, like you might be able to squeeze up to $40,000, but $20,000, $30,000 is the common running profit when it comes to that, right? So you want to throw that in there. So let's just say $30,000. Let me do the math real quick. It's gonna take a second because I got the high school system in my head. 10 is 5, 85. I should have did whole numbers. I don't know why I did this to myself. That's 50. Knock off 30. This is rough math, just so I don't look like I'm slow on live TV, on live IG. So $25,000 after you deduct all those numbers. I could be off, but let's just say for the sake of argument, after you deduct all those fees, $25,000 was remaining. So $25,000 is what your max offer can be on purchasing that property. If you end up getting a bidding war and you say, "Oh, I love this property," and you get all in your feelings, thinking that this is the property that's gonna make me become a real estate investor, you're not doing your part, right? The numbers drive the deal, right? And if you're willing to go up, let's say 25,000 your max, and you want to increase to say, "Hey, I think I can get for 30,000 and bid out this other person that's looking at trying to get the deal." Okay, then you got to cut something else out. Either cutting your profit out or cutting down your renovation costs. But just know, if you cut down your renovation costs, that's going to potentially hurt your profit. I mean, your after repair value in the long run, because you created a renovation cost based off of what you think the house needs to look like, based off of the other 3 homes, the comparable homes that you evaluated. So if you're trying to water down and skip out on maybe the fixtures, even something as brush nickel doorknobs, that brings extra value to the home, right? The light fixtures, right? If you have instead of a double sink vanity sink, you have a single sink. That changes the price point of the home, right? All those things. And then even if the individual, the person who's coming that you're trying to sell the property to, wants to buy it, right? You still have that person's lender appraiser that has to come through, right? So all these different luxurious pieces, so to say, add to the value of the home. So if they want to buy the home for $175,000, the individual, right, and say, hey, I love this home. If the appraiser comes and says, hey, the homes I looked at, they have brushed nickel doorknobs, they have double sink vanity, they have granite countertops, or whatever the case may be. They have a island. All those things play into the features. I mean, into the price point. And if they come back lower, then you have to drop the price. So, or the person has to come out of pocket, the buyer. So those are things to consideration. Does anybody have any questions about what I've said thus far when it comes to the comps and how to figure out how much you offer for purchasing a home? I'm going back. What is the best way to find cheap deals? What's better offers? I see. Heard about buying the deeds. Is that legit? I have not done that, so I can't speak to buying the deeds. I know you could do tax sale liens, and that's a whole different topic on being able to purchase a house based off the person being in default on their taxes, their property taxes. So that's something that you can do. Can you also close faster with cash? I think I already mentioned that. Should take a contractor with me? Yes, you should take a contractor with you, but keep in mind that you want to ensure that you try to do as much due diligence on your part that that's a good deal before you bring a contractor. Again, if this is your first time and you're just getting into the wheeling and dealing of this industry, you don't want to waste a contractor's time, right? Just like the real estate agent, you don't want to waste the real estate agent. After you've done a couple deals and now that person has established that, hey, this is my source of money, this is my source of livelihood, they'll be able to bend real quick. They'll start answering your phone calls at 9:30 at night, right? But if you day one call them at 9:30 at night, they're not gonna answer that, right? They're gonna have you a top priority after you start doing some deals with them. So it's just depending on where you at in that relationship with the contractor. But in the initial phase, try to do as much due diligence on your part as possible to know that you're almost 90% going to go with this deal before you bring a contractor out, right? Or if you're willing just for the sake of trying to learn, right, and understand that I may burn a bridge with a contractor to bring them out just so you can say, hey, I would charge you this much for a roof. And I've done that before. I did it unknowingly that I was going to burn a bridge, but I walked through the contractor on my first couple of deals just to help me understand what the numbers would look like to get these different things done, right? But after a while, he stopped answering my phone calls. But I was able to create my list of my itemized list off of that. So there was a benefit, but then I lost a potential contractor that could do the deals for me. So that's just something to keep in mind on as you move forward with the contractor. Carry the one. Uh, I don't know if that's you. Okay. You got jokes. Why would someone? Yeah. I see that. I see that. Oh, so the question is,
That was me
why would
joking
someone
you.
sell their houses that cheap, right? So everybody has different situations, right? And then there's different areas of the country. You can go to the rural area and find somebody who has a home that's for $25,000, right? Or if you're, I think probably a lot of you are probably in California or your metropolitan areas, you're probably not gonna get a home for $25,000. But I'm just giving you an example. This is just an example to be able to figure out how to do the numbers. But you can do the same thing with a $300,000 home that has an after repair value of $300,000 and walk the numbers down to find your max, right? So it's all about where the property is at, and it's all about who's trying to sell it, right? You can find a property like in Virginia, in near Richmond. I found a property that was an heir property, so it was a wife. Her husband was the real estate person. He had a whole bunch of properties. He unfortunately passed away. And the homes that were, I guess, the more troublesome homes that for her that she didn't want to deal with, she basically did like a yard sale. She wanted to get rid of as many deals as possible. So she sold like 4 or 5 of them in bulk, right? And then unfortunately, I wasn't able to get in on that deal, but I'm just telling you how she was doing it, right? She had 4 or 5 properties that she wanted to sell, and each of them were ranging from 25 to $60,000, right? And what we were trying to do was have a group of us as investors go in, and then we bid on all the homes, and then each of us take our individual home that we wanted to take, right? But to her, it doesn't matter. She's just looking to get rid of all of them at the same time in a wholesale type of block sale. So there are properties out there. It's just a matter, again, knowing that information before somebody else, right? And then some of that just comes from by who you know. whether it's a real estate agent telling you that, hey, I got this property that this person that just got heired some property, or a widower, she was trying to get rid of these properties. So those are ways that you could get a cheap deal. Are there any other questions about what I said so far? It's not 17. I don't know how normally this goes. I'm not trying to go too long. I said a lot of information. I feel like it should be a part two to this. I'm not trying to take over your platform at all. Because there's more stuff on my head that I want to get out.
Oh,
And I feel like,
we can do
yeah.
a part two. Let's do a part two. Yeah, it's definitely part two. Does it anybody have any particular questions for Randall that they want to ask today? I definitely appreciate this because people see, like you said, people go on HGTV and it just seems so easy. It seems like, hey, we're gonna walk down the street, find this deal, and make $100,000, And but my question for you is, what got you into doing flipping houses?
So
What
a funny
inspired
thing
you and what
is
keeps
that
you doing
and
it,
I didn't
knowing how
realize
hard
it
it is?
until like now, like maybe past a lot of things, right? Like my Navy service was related to my childhood. Somebody that I knew, my uncle, he served in Navy, and that kind of inspired me. My parents, they used to do renovations to their homes, right? And unbeknownst to me, you fast forward 20 years, and it's something that I always was interested in it, just didn't know why I was interested in it until I did some self-evaluation. So it's a natural passion. It's not even me saying that, hey, like I forced myself into this situation. It just the stars aligned. It was something I was interested in. But I was fortunate to be surrounded around individuals who were also interested in it, and then I was able just to kind of dig myself out of that hole I dug myself into with that initial training that I bought into. So yeah, that's how I came into this.
Are you still crowdfunding or
Uh,
are you doing your own
the
deals now? How
funding
are you
platforms that
funding
are the
most of
funding
your deals
institutions I
personally?
mentioned, the Seeking Capital, like I just used BHG, so I could vouch for them. There's going to be higher interest rate, but they were a good source for me to be able to get these last two properties that we got. So um, that's a good one. Lima One, I'm looking at them for rental properties to increase my rental portfolio. So yeah, crowdfunding is also an option as well. Like as you, and that's another thing, as you get successful and you start doing things right, people are going to gravitate to you, right? Especially if you, and I'm an introvert, and I only post things here and there, and people gravitate towards me. Hey, I see you doing some stuff. Can I invest, right? And then before you know it, like you're able to have the down payment for a property that you're doing paid by somebody else, and it's not even coming out your pocket. So that's just something that just comes with part of being in this industry.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, I didn't see any other questions come through. If anybody have any questions, feel free to
So
hit
you
me up
can
or hit
hit me
Randall
up on
up.
Instagram. I
How
probably
can
at this
people
point
find you?
need to make my page unprivate, but R underscore Monty 83. No, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. R Monty underscore 83. Or you could hit me up at my business email address, r.monfiston, MONFISTON LLC at Gmail. Or you could reach out to Nation, and she could be able to she could put you in contact with me. So it's whatever works best for whoever's trying to get in contact with me. Yeah, you are right. It's
Yeah,
hard. It's
reach
hard
out
to
to
break it.
Nation.
It is hard to
Okay.
break it.
No, it's all good. But yeah, so for those of you who are new, thank you guys for joining. Those of you who've been here to the Wind Down part of the Wind Down crew, thank you for coming back. I hope you got something out of this. Next week, you don't want to miss. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have Dominique on. She's going to talk about entering the STEM realm. She's going to talk about her process and how she's helping people, middle-aged people, transition their careers who are interested in the STEM program. So come back next week. Ask your questions. There's a lot of fear when it comes to changing careers, but Dominique is going to help you break down all of those rumors and all of that misinformation. And also she helps people with that transition. So I'm really excited to have her next week. I'm excited. Thank you so much for being here with us this week. It was a pleasure and a fun time for me getting a chance to connect with you this way. Thank
No, I
you.
heard everything. I heard everything. Hey, one last
Am I
time.
delayed?
We talked about funding. We
Oh,
had a
okay.
good opportunity to talk about
All
funding,
right.
and I look forward to another opportunity to talk about funding. That's three
Uh-huh.
right there.
Hey, and I'll be back in touch with you to get you back on the schedule. We're definitely going to do a part two. Part two coming soon. Make sure you let your people know Randall is the truth. And if you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you don't hear back from him, reach out to me and I'll get him on the line for you, because we want you guys to be successful in whatever you're doing. And that's why you come to the WineDown every week. So
Nah,
appreciate y'all for
you
being
probably
here.
won't have to reach out to me because I suck at
Any
getting
final
back to
words?
people. Unless we making money already. So there you go. That's a prime example. Prime example. Once we start making money.
Hey, let's go. All right. Well, y'all have a good week. See you back here next Wednesday, 5:30 West Coast, 8:30 East Coast, somewhere in between. You can follow me on my Instagram, Ronesha_Nation, or on Facebook, Ronesha Nation. If you're not following me, follow Randall. He'll be happy to have you knock him down all the time you have questions. I'm just joking. But yeah, make sure you're following us to get the latest information, and I hope to see you back here next week.